Now it's just a group of egrets heading back to their roost. It's a hottest time of the year now, which is making video making it's another set of challenges. Doing walk-in vlogs when it's super hot, but nonetheless, I plug on. I was talking about plausibility and how do we assess plausibility, especially when you go to the, to the bounds of what we say when we say, well, we know this. When we're using the we, it's a kind of we that, the cutting edge of human scholarship and research knows this. There goes a striated herring. Probably didn't see that. You'll have to take my word for it. When we say that kind of we mean that's what the cutting edge of the experts, the pundits in that field, that's what they know when we say we know. Well, one thing we know about the origin of the universe is that we shouldn't really expect it to be plausible. Why? Because it happened in a realm where, and William Lane Craig gets told this all the time, but he keeps coming back with the exact same argument, which, as far as I'm concerned, is refuted. Deterministic logic shouldn't apply. Why? Well, because when you break down, at the beginning of the universe is also the beginning of time and space. What we call deterministic logic relies on there being time and space, and if we're talking about a realm that doesn't have time and space, there's no reason to believe that that sort of logic applies. So we encounter this all the time. When if you read articles on quantum physics, there's all kinds of weird things go on that are completely counterintuitive, completely seemingly implausible, but nonetheless they're borne out by research. People make predictions. Tunneling electron microscopes work every day on these principles that were borne out by research. But nonetheless, they don't sit well with our intuitive sense of logic. And that may well be because our intuitive sense of logic develops as an evolved thing. Our brain is an evolved thing, and what feels comfortable and intuitive is because the macro world that we live in from day to day, and we had to be able to function and make predictions and travel places and solve problems. On this macro scale, deterministic logic is fine. But when we start talking about the quantum world, and that includes the very origin, the singularity that started the universe we know, doesn't follow those rules. So you shouldn't expect it to be plausible. But nonetheless, they persist, and by they I mean Christians like William Lane Craig and Christians like my interlocutor on Mars Hill, Korea, Peter, keeps going. I know I've told him 4 or 5 times this line of thought, and he's ignored it. Or he goes off on some red herring tangent from the conversation. I'm trying to make this point. This is the most important point, and I'm not going to conflate this presentation with any other. There's no reason to believe it should be plausible. There's no reason to believe that it should fit well with our intuition. We're just going to have to wait and see how far science can take us in understanding that, and if it can't take us as far as we want, we're going to have to just do the honest thing and say, well, we don't know. That's as far as we should go. To go beyond that is just, you're going to be at the risk of our tendency to wishfully think. So I would really advise against that. But nonetheless, this is the entire basis of what the rational belief system is supposed to be, using logic where we have no reason to believe that it applies. I always like to end up these things with a question. Why do you think Christians persist in that? Why do you think people think the Kalam cosmological argument still holds any water? I would like to open the floor to that. Anyways, that's my thoughts for this evening. 7-2 Daystar, out.